In the quiet, forgotten town of Havenwood, death is not the end. It's just a different kind of waiting. On the surface, Havenwood looks like any other sleepy little town you might drive through without a second glance. Old colonial houses with peeling paint, a single grocery store, and a church whose bell hasn't rung in decades. But beneath the surface, something is deeply, fundamentally wrong. When someone dies in Havenwood, they are buried, just like anywhere else. But that's where the similarities end. The dead in Havenwood don't decompose. They don't decay. They don't return to the earth. Weeks, months, even years after a funeral, if you were to open a coffin, you would find the deceased looking almost as they did on the day they were buried. Their skin, though pale, remains soft. Their limbs are still flexible, not stiff with rigor mortis. Most unnervingly, a faint residual warmth seems to cling to them, as if they were just sleeping, dreaming a long, silent dream. The town's lone undertaker, a man named Mr. Abernathy, has seen it all. He inherited the family business, and the town's dark secret along with it. He knows things the rest of the world would call impossible. He's seen eyes, closed for years in death, suddenly flicker open in the dim light of the mortuary. He's heard soft sighs escape from lips that should be forever silent. The townsfolk don't talk about it, not openly. But they know. They live with a quiet, creeping dread that permeates the very air they breathe. This phenomenon isn't new. It's been happening for as long as anyone can remember. Old town records tucked away in the dusty basement of the library speak of the unsleeping. The earliest entries date back to the town's founding in the late 1700s. The founders built their settlement on what they thought was blessed ground. They were wrong. They built it on something ancient, something that had been waiting in the dark soil for a very long time, something that doesn't understand death and refuses to let go. The families in Havenwood have adapted in unsettling ways. Funerals are hurried, somber affairs. But the real preparations happen before the burial. The coffins here are different. Look closely, and you'll see they are custom-built, reinforced with thick oak planks and steel braces. But the most disturbing feature is on the inside. Heavy iron clasps and thick leather straps are installed, designed not to keep things out, but to keep things in. Every coffin is a small personal prison cell, because sometimes the waiting ends. Stories are whispered in hushed tones, never in the light of day. Stories about sounds coming from the old cemetery on moonless nights. Not ghostly wails, but something far more tangible. A dull, rhythmic thudding from beneath the earth. A scratching sound like fingernails on wood, desperate and frantic. More than once, groundskeepers have found coffins that have shifted, pushed up from below as if by an incredible force. They've found deep scratch marks on the inside of the lids, splintered wood, where something tried to claw its way out. One of the most chilling tales is that of young Amelia Vance, who died from a fever in the winter of 1952. She was buried in the family plot, her small coffin reinforced like all the others. For weeks her mother swore she could hear a child's soft weeping near the grave at night. Everyone told her it was just grief. Then, one morning, the ground above Amelia's grave was disturbed. The earth was churned up, and the heavy stone marker had been toppled. When they dug up the coffin, they found it empty. The internal locks were broken from the inside. Amelia Vance was gone. No one ever saw her again, but for years afterwards, children in town would speak of a pale girl in a white dress who would watch them from the edge of the woods, her eyes empty and sad. The soil itself seems to be the cause. Scientists who have tested it found nothing unusual in its composition, but local legend says otherwise. They say the ground is alive, a vast subterranean consciousness that latches onto the life force of those buried within it. It holds them in a state of stasis, preserving their bodies while their spirits are trapped, unable to move on. It sustains them, keeps them warm, and sometimes it wakes them up. Why? No one knows. Perhaps it's lonely, perhaps it's hungry, or perhaps it's simply playing with its collection, a macabre puppet master pulling the strings of the dead. Living in Havenwood means living with a set of unspoken rules. You don't walk near the cemetery after dark. You lock your doors and windows securely at night. And if you hear a scratching at your door in the dead of night, you don't answer it. The people here have learned that some things are worse than death. The possibility of coming back is one of them. The idea that your loved one, buried and mourned, might one day return, not as they were, but as a hollow puppet of the earth, is a terror that haunts their every waking moment. Mr. Abernathy continues his work, a silent guardian of this terrible secret. He reinforces the coffins, he locks the dead inside, and he listens to the silence of his mortuary, always waiting for the next sigh, the next flicker of an eyelid. He knows that the ground beneath Havenwood is patient. It has been waiting for centuries, and it has all the time in the world. The dead are not at rest here. They are simply waiting for their turn to walk again. What is this force beneath the town? Some believe it's a geological anomaly, a strange energy field. Others whisper it's the spirit of the land itself, angered by the town's presence. A few old-timers cling to the darkest theory, that the town was built over the resting place of something that was never human to begin with, and it is trying to understand humanity by reanimating its dead. Whatever it is, its influence is undeniable. The birds sing a little less brightly in Havenwood. The flowers in the cemetery never seem to fully bloom. It's a town held in a perpetual state of autumn, forever on the cusp of winter, forever on the edge of the grave. The few who have tried to leave Havenwood often find themselves drawn back, an inexplicable pull they can't resist, as if the town itself won't let them go. It's as if being born there means a part of you always belongs to its soil. And when you die, it comes to collect the debt. The children who grow up here have a certain look in their eyes, a premature understanding of loss and fear. They don't tell ghost stories around campfires. Their reality is scarier than any fiction. They know the monsters are real. They're just sleeping, for now, under the manicured lawns of the town cemetery. So if you ever find yourself on a lonely road and see a sign that says "Welcome to Havenwood," you might want to keep driving. Don't stop for gas. Don't stop for a cup of coffee. Because in Havenwood the ground has a memory, and it never forgets who it's buried. The dead are not gone. They're just waiting. And what they're waiting for is something no one in Havenwood ever wants to find out. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this dive into the darkness, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more unsettling stories. Let us know in the comments what you think is waking the dead in Havenwood. Until next time, stay safe and check what's under the floorboards.